Hi everybody. In this lightning talk, I will discuss how we should define our prediction targets in early warning systems for political violence, based on our experience from developing and presenting the VIEWS project. When designing an early warning system, one of the most important questions to consider is what prediction target you as a user need. What outcome do you need the system to predict? There are four key dimensions to consider. First, what temporal resolution are you interested in? Forecast for a given year, month, week, or day. Second, do you seek single or multi-period forecasts? Forecasts covering only the next month or year, or a series of consecutive time units? Third, do you want to forecast onset of new conflict or the incidence of conflict, including the likelihood of continuation of violence? And finally, do you want a dichotomous or continuous variable forecast, a yes-no forecast, or whether a certain level of violence will be reached? Your answer to these questions can have a fundamental impact on the type of system you consider to be best suited to the specific needs. However, it's possible to design an only one solution. We call this the continuous multi-period incidence target, or CMPI for short. With CMPI, we refer to a forecasting system that moves away from the binary conflict, no conflict prediction targets of the past, and instead sets out to predict the number of people that will lose their lives to political violence in each country or geographic location, and in each of a series of consecutive, rather short time periods, such as months, including both new and ongoing bouts of violence. The underlying model is trained for all of this, but it can be presented in numerous ways. So why pursue this target? Actually, this offers a win-win solution. It facilitates robust and comprehensive conflict predictions, but when complex assessments are superfluous and simple communication is key, its output can easily be recoded to simpler alternatives without having to reinvent the wheel. First, CMPI avoids arbitrary coding decisions. Say 90 people were killed in political violence in November. Is this a conflict? If the threshold is 25 deaths, the answer is yes. If it is 100, it's not. This is arbitrary. An early warning system should let the user decide whether this is sufficiently violent. Similarly, coding only onset the conflict or mass killing adds another set of arbitrary decisions. If 200 people were killed in March the following year, this would not be seen as an onset if the threshold was 100, but would if it was 100, but then again not if the criteria was that it had to be in the same calendar year. This CMPI target model would avoid all these decisions. The very same model could then be used to predict onset and continuation of both low and high intensity conflict. Second, a CMPI model can make better use of available information. We typically have a good estimate of the number of fatalities. Recoding this to a binary variable throws out lots of information. A conflict that leads to 10,000 deaths is very different from one that leads to 27. A continuous target model can make use of this difference, greatly improving accuracy. And third, by using a short time period as the time unit, such as the month, a CMPI model is better placed to provide frequent updates to the forecasts when new information becomes available, making full use of the monthly or weekly releases from conflict data providers. Fourth, a CMPI target offers a better representation of the total impact of a crisis over time. Models using this target will be able to provide a complete estimate of the expected number of deaths aggregated over as many months into the future as is interesting. This in turn also allows us to study compound risks and impacts of armed conflict. Finally, a CMPI target allows a more nuanced handling of uncertainty and predictive performance and gives model developers a much more powerful tool to improve their systems. Consider, for example, two dichotomous models trained respectively to predict whether 100 and 900 fatalities would occur per year. If 1,000 fatalities were observed in a given year and both models predicted their respective thresholds to be exceeded that year, evaluations of the two models' performance would show equal results, despite the vast difference between their predicted outcomes and what was ultimately observed. With a continuous target, evaluation would easily show the superiority of the latter model, as predicting the expected number of fatalities would allow us to assess the magnitude of prediction errors. Moreover, CMPI early warning systems will be able to generate a probability distribution for the number of fatalities. In addition to a best estimate of, say, 600 deaths in a given month, they can present the prediction as a 5% probability of more than 1,000 deaths, 50% of more than 500, and at 5% to more than 100 in a given time period, for instance. All in all, these advantages strongly suggest that we should move towards CMPI prediction targets and models. From the user side, there are hardly any downsides, since outputs can be simplified to any metric preferred by the user. From the modeler side, there are added complexities to setup and maintenance. Nevertheless, this is now feasible. The Views project has run a model with a dichotomous multi-month incidence since 2018 and is currently developing an extension that will allow the model to forecast also the expected number of fatalities in a given country month. The CMPI target also lends itself to new important extensions. Such models, for instance, form the foundation for a new research project building on Views. In this, we will study the expected impact of armed conflict. What is the total damage that it causes? We'll consider the effects on economic growth, public health, access to water, and other outcomes. That project, however, will have to be focus of another talk. So with that, we conclude this lightning talk, and thank you all for tuning in. Please stick around for Q&A in the chat field or pass along any questions you might have over email. Thank you.